Rep Hakeem Jeffries got into a fight with Photoshop and Photoshop won. The new Superman movie went woke and will flop, and Love Island has gone bananas. It's time for my losers of the week. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the show on YouTube at Tomi Lahren is Fearless. The show starts now. Democrats, man, they'll do anything to be Instagram famous influencers. Some are pretty good at it, as annoying as it may be. Crockett, AOC, Mamdani, they are stone cold morons, but they're pretty good at social media. The same cannot be said for House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. He posted a cutesy photo of himself on Instagram the other day. I think he was trying to look like a badass or something, and I guess in an attempt to look more badass or taller or something, he seemingly decided to run the snapshot through Photoshop or FaceApp or Facetune, and people noticed. Yes, either the benches in Brooklyn are super wavy, or he edited his body or height in some way, causing that warped result. Now listen, I'm not going to shade him for using a filter or doing a little tweaky, but next time, perhaps he should consult a real housewife or an influencer before posting, so as to avoid the public edit humiliation. But Hakeem's edit job is nothing compared to my next loser this week. Director of the new Superman movie, James Gunn. If anyone could use a filter or an edit, it's him, because he seemingly tried to Bud Light Snow White his own movie with this dumbass statement. Yes, he's trying to make the iconic tale of Superman into a woke joke tale of an illegal immigrant. And in case you thought his comment wasn't about politics, he made it very clear that it is, and he doesn't seem to care if it turns people off. His brother, Sean Gunn, also doubled down.
It is exactly what the movie is about, I think, that, like, we support our people, you know? We love our immigrants. Yes, Superman is an immigrant, and yes, the people that we support in this country are immigrants, and if you don't like that, then you're not American. People who say no to immigrants are against the American way. They're against what the American dream is all about.
Okay, so again, these leftists conveniently forget to delineate between immigrants and illegals, but that's par for the course. What's also par for the course is that American audiences and consumers are sick of being lectured on the liberal, bleeding heart flavor of the week issue. I don't know if this movie will tank because of it, but I can tell you I won't be seeing it. But I tell you what I will be watching on Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on Peacock, the finale of Love Island. For those of you too highbrow to watch trash reality TV, I'll just catch you up quick. The premise of this show is a group of 20-something-year-old islanders stay in a villa on the island of Fiji. They couple up, they uncouple, they explore connections with bombshells that drop in throughout the season. And at the end, America's favorite couple has a shot at $100K, but really more so a shot at becoming a well-paid influencer for the next year or two. So now that you're clocked in on the theme here, I'll add that this show has already had at least 2 major cancel culture scandals this season in the less than 2 months it's been airing. The first happened right off the rip, as the young people say, when this girl was axed from the show a day and a half in over a comment she made during a podcast appearance that resurfaced. Now, in the clips, Yulissa said the N-word while referring to past relationships. So she was gone quick with no official explanation on the show itself. But flash forward to this week, and dang near the end of the season, when yet another Islander was axed for a racially insensitive post. Sierra Ortega was pulled from the villa with, again, no other official explanation on the show other than a personal situation. The personal situation was the all-out uproar from show fans after posts made by Sierra resurfaced, wherein she referred to her own eyes using a racial slur against Asians. Now listen, the word she used is bad. It's unacceptable, it's derogatory, and racially super insensitive, and I totally get that. However, the girl is 25 years old, and I really don't believe she used the slur intentionally or maliciously. I really don't get that vibe from her at all. It's uneducated still, and I get that. But the way this girl has been absolutely dragged and eviscerated is a little much. The backlash has been so severe, her parents put out a lengthy and emotional post addressing it and asking for some mercy for their daughter, who again is 25 and likely doesn't even realize the word she used is unacceptable. Keep in mind the Islanders don't have access to their phones or social media while on the show, and it's taped pretty much in real time. So when Sierra was abruptly yanked from the show, she had no idea for what or why and had zero opportunity to address it with her fellow Islanders or anyone else. And yeah, I feel for her. Cancel culture is a bitch, and it's so 2020. I'm not saying people shouldn't get heat for the things they say and do, but I am saying it is okay to take a freaking step back and show a little compassion. I don't think it's fair to eat this girl alive and ruin her life over a word in an Instagram post. And as my favorite Islander, Amaya Papaya, famously said, I'm going to stand on that business with my 10 toes, not one toe missing. And those are my losers of the week. Joining me now is Outkick writer Bobby Burack. Bobby, thank you for listening through my entire losers. I know it was lengthy, but very important. We're going to get to the Love Island at the end. I'm very excited about it. But I want to let's start at the top. Let's start with Hakeem Jeffries and the Photoshop. Now, this is a funny one. It's inconsequential, whatever. He Photoshopped himself. But I can't tell what he was trying to fix. Now, when girls edit their posts, they make their skin look better. They make themselves skinnier. I don't know. They enhance some things. They edit out some things. What do you think Hakeem was trying to do here?
It, to me, and I'm with you, I'm not totally anti-filter. People use them, whatever. I think even sometimes Clay Travis might use them. I don't know. But I think Hakeem Jeffries might have been trying to make himself look a little taller, a little tougher. It was a very odd photo, I would say chop. But this guy just keeps on embarrassing himself pretty much every time he's in the news, right? Like a while ago, it seemed like this was the guy Democrats wanted to be their new face of the party, but he's such a joke. He's so easily mockable. And this story wasn't that big of a deal, but it does make you laugh because it was Hakeem Jeffries.
Yeah. I just don't know what he was trying to do. And I
Yeah,
wish he would tell us. Like, listen, I try to make myself look a little taller. I try to make my
yeah.
hips a little skinnier. I don't know. Just tell us. Tell
Mhm.
us, and let's just eliminate the discussion on it. Probably still a better photo, though, than the one he posted last week with him with the baseball bat. That was probably more embarrassing, and there was no edit on it. Perhaps one could have been added, making it a little bit less cringeworthy. I'm going to skip through the Superman stuff because I think that just stands on its own. I'm not going to see the movie. I think it's stupid. Let's move on. I want
Yeah.
to talk about Love Island. I don't know if you're a viewer. I don't know if you're a fan. Most of the people that I interact with on Outkick are not, sadly. And I keep trying to get people to pay
Right.
attention, but
Okay.
nobody does. So, do you watch Love Island?
I don't, but I have a lot of friends who have been trying to get me into it. And I know it was the season finale Sunday, so I'm not a viewer, but I am aware. I'm aware of the genre, the scandals going on. So I actually might tune in Sunday and try to catch myself up beforehand if that works.
Yeah. So again, this was not political until it became political. So all roads lead back to things getting political. So I just try to watch these reality shows to take a break from politics. And then wouldn't you know it, politics comes right up and bites me in the ass on Peacock. But I'm just tired of cancel culture. And I say that, and people go, oh, well, they said horrible things. Do you agree with what they said? No, I don't agree with what they said. Ulissa using the N word, unacceptable. We know this. Sierra using the C word to describe Asians, unacceptable. But I think this whole thing of like someone made a post, people dig it up, and then they just try to ruin these people's lives over it. I just feel like that was a thing in 2020. I wish we could move on from that in 2025 and give people a little space, some mercy, some grace. I don't know if that's possible, but I would hope that it would be.
Yeah, and I'm with you. So this goes to a larger phenomenon where, as a society, we treat word crimes more severely than actual crimes, right? There's a lot of celebrities and influencers that get arrested for something and they get charged and that's fine. But if they say the wrong word, they're done, canceled for life. I mean, how many athletes do we see driving drunk, crashing into people, punching their spouse, and nothing happens? But dare they say the wrong racial slur? Career's over. And it's the same thing in Hollywood. I'm right. I mean, the posts that both of those women said were wrong and unacceptable, they whatever, but their lives are probably ruined forever because there are these cancel culture vultures that lash onto these cases and never let it go. Whether she's 25, 22, 35, I think in general, let's be honest, these word crimes are not that big of a deal. And let's stop canceling people. I just hate it overall. I mean, we actually have like child predators out there that seem to have more grace than people who, when their teen years or young adults, said the wrong thing on social media. Get over it.
Yeah, that's my thing. And I'm going to take you, Lissa, out of it because I think everybody at this point should be aware that you don't say the N word.
Mhm.
But with Sierra, and I'm not saying the word that she said is acceptable. I just feel like in this day and age, when you're on social media and you're putting out a post, and she was talking about herself in these posts, by the way, using a racial slur, talking about her eyes. I really don't think that she understands that that word is derogatory. I don't think that she's privy to that because in this day and age, if you are, and she has been an influencer before being on Love Island, I don't think you'd ever purposely put out something that was racist because you know you're going to get canceled. So I really do think this is an issue of her not being educated on the word. Now, that doesn't mean that she's just completely absolved from anything. Like, she deserves to get backlash and people be like, you cannot say that. And she needs to apologize and she needs to explain that she didn't know or that she was uneducated. But I just really don't get the feeling from her post that she did it to be mean to people or malicious or racist. I just don't get the feeling that that was the case.
Yeah, I'm with you. And context always matters, right? I mean, there's a difference when you use a slur to insult somebody versus, say, you're quoting a rap lyric or a hip hop song or whatever. I'm with you. I think in this case, she was trying to be funny, probably doesn't understand the full meaning of the word. And that happens, right? You and I are online a lot in media, so we know every scandal, we know every word that people say is offensive and you can't say it. But the average person out and about, they don't know what words are okay and what words can be used as a joke because they're not in this world. So I do think in this case, she probably deserves some grace. And I think it's a forgivable offense if she apologizes. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I'm sure this is going to follow her around the rest of her life because that's just how it happens now.
Yeah. I just don't like when people just absolutely try to, ruin someone's entire life. I mean, the death threats and all of this, you're right, the word police. And then you've got people out there that are actually doing horrible things, attacking, assaulting people, beating their spouse, abusing animals. And it's like, well, they can apologize and then go
Right.
speak at Liberty University in a couple years. And to me, it's that's a big problem. I'm going to move on from that. We got a lot of fun things to talk about.
Okay.
Let's talk about Ketanji Brown Jackson. Okay. We know that her actual aspiration is to be on Broadway. We saw the cringeworthy performance there. But I think you know that she's really a dumbass when you've got Justice Sotomayor even kind of calling her, not in the word, but basically calling her a dumbass. When you've got an 8-1 opinion and she's the only one that's dissenting, and not because she really believes in her dissent, but because she doesn't seem to get it. And she said in the opinion several times, like, I just don't understand. I think that on the Mount Rushmore of DEI, I think that she's right behind Kamala Harris and maybe right in front of the nuclear waste lady suitcase stealer, Samuel Brinton. What do you think?
Ooh, that's good. Uh, KJP,
Yeah.
she's up there too, right? But she's probably a notch below. Ooh, I think that's a good one. We got to put Kamala Harris number one because, I mean, she could have won the presidency, right? The swing voters maybe didn't show up. It was possible. It's just the fact that we were that close to the possibility of someone so unqualified, so unaccomplished, potentially running the country. But I like it. I'd have Kamala Harris one. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good list. I totally forgot about Samuel Britton. What a loathsome individual. Every time I see him, it's just unbelievable this guy ever had any sort of respect from powerful people. But I like it. Yeah, and by the way, just to be clear, this is a pretty contentious race. I mean, there are a lot of DEI hires out there who made it pretty far without deserving it. So to have a seat so high on the Mount Rushmore is quite an accomplishment for a Supreme Court justice.
And all of them in the Biden administration. I mean,
All right.
that's poor Joe didn't know what he was doing. The auto pen did it. Since we're talking about Kamala, again, this also kind of harkens back to reality TV. All roads lead back to reality TV. If you guys aren't watching, you're not filled in on politics and pop culture, okay? So there's a new reality show, also on Peacock. It's Nelly and Ashanti, We Belong Together. Now, I watch the show because I love reality TV. I also love Nelly and Ashanti. But as you watch the episodes, they're all out. By the way, I encourage you to watch them. So on the show, I actually watched this in real time because this is why this resurfaced. We know that Nelly performed at the Trump inaugural balls and he got a lot of heat for it at that time. But it's been resurrected as a conversation because the show is airing and that conversation about him performing was brought up on the show. Ashanti didn't seem to really want him to do it. He's like, hey, listen, I'm going to do it. It's my choice. And I loved it. But this resurfaced and the controversy resurfaced because the show is addressing it as the show just dropped, okay? But he was on a Shade Room post where they were giving him heat for performing at the inauguration. And not only did he triple down on that point that he was going to do it and it's not about politics and for him it's about the office, but in the comments, he was going after people who were attacking him for performing. And he basically said here, I'm summarizing, but he basically said in the comments, like, y'all wanted me to vote for Kamala? She married a white man, like I married a black woman. And I thought, boom, mic drop, Nelly. I love to hear it. I love to see it. And it makes the liberal heads explode. But I think it's great.
Me too. Props to him for fighting back. I mean, my biggest issue with a lot of these people is they cave immediately. A bunch of losers come after them, and people for People Magazine, they immediately apologize and try to atone. I love him coming back, and I think all of this scrutiny that black people and women have gotten for not supporting Kamala Harris, I don't know if people realize most black people and women don't want her being the first of their kind as a president because of how embarrassing, unqualified, and really unprepared she was to even run for the campaign. So props to Nelly. And I do have to ask, Tomi, you mentioned you were a Nelly fan. I grew up with sisters who were Nelly fans. Are you Nellyville or Country Grammar?
Well, I think Country Grammar. I mean, you've got to give it where it is due. But they're all so great. And I was at the inaugural ball right after he performed at the Liberty Ball, and I didn't get to see him or meet him. And you know what? I actually think there was a little discrepancy if he performed or not. There was like a lot of to-do about that. But he was there, and I didn't get to meet him. I'm still pissed about it, and I love Nelly, and I love all that era. I'm a big rap fan from that era. I want to move on to somebody that I'm not a fan of, but who is a big fan of herself. What do you think about the WNBA putting Angel Reese on the cover of this video game that I've never heard of? I don't know why anybody would want to play a WNBA video game in the first place. That sounds awful. Maybe even worse than watching the WNBA. But there you go. Not Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. And when asked about them choosing her, she said that she's going to take up space unapologetically. What's your reaction?
Well, first of all, I didn't know there was even a WNBA video game. If people don't want to watch the WNBA, why would they want to pay, I don't know, $80 and play it on their Xbox? So I didn't know that. But if you're trying to sell this game, why not put the one person who actually moves the needle? Based on numbers, Caitlin Clark increases ratings by about 50%. And like, even if you don't want to put Caitlin Clark on the cover because she's a white girl from Iowa, whatever. But why are you putting Angel Reese, who by all accounts is a pretty mediocre basketball player, on the cover? I'm sure there's other players who are a lot better than Reese that probably deserved it. But talk about pandering and trying to appease all the wrong people. My prediction is not only will the Superman movie flop, but I think this new video game is also going to flop for the exact same reasons.
I think the only way this video game does well is if it allows you in the game to fight each other. Because that's what they tend to do anyway, right? I mean, I think that's why people watch. They watch for Caitlin Clark and the cat fights. So if it turns into a video game where then you can go like Grand Theft Auto style, they've got a concept. I've just given them an idea. And I'm right here announcing on the record, I want my intellectual property rights protected because I just thought of this. Right here as we're sitting here, I just thought of this. You combine WNBA game with Grand Theft Auto, and you've got a winner.
I like it. Look, I haven't played video games in a while, but I did grow up playing Grand Theft Auto. So if you could put the WNBA women, like, where they fist fight and all that stuff and throw each other down, I might even be down for that. It just sounds like a brilliant business idea.
Yep, I thought of it here first. So Outkick, get ready. We're making a video game. Speaking of insufferable women, I don't know where you land on Livvy Dunne. I know that some men here on Outkick, they really are fans of her gymnastics.
Right. Gymnastics.
Yeah, that's what it is. But there's a clip, again, I don't think everybody has to be necessarily sensitive to things going on in the country and the world every time they post something. That's an unrealistic expectation of people. When you've got the bodies of children being pulled out of trees in Texas, and then you've got Livvy Dunne crying about this, I don't know if it's a good look. Let's take a listen.
Guys, I'm so upset. So a few months ago, I decided I was going to make my first real estate purchase, which is so exciting, and I was going to get an apartment in New York City. But the gag was, it was Babe Ruth's apartment. So naturally, like, I'm telling everybody, I'm excited. I was going to buy it, and I was going to pay with cash. Like, I wanted this apartment bad. Like, it got to the point where the realtor was so confident. Paul and I went. I got an interior designer because I didn't want to bring my college furniture to Babe Ruth's apartment. That would be like criminal. Then the week that I'm supposed to get my keys to my brand new apartment, I get a call. The co-op board denied me. So pretty much the people in the building voted to not have me live there, which is fine. Like, honestly, it wasn't financial. It could have been, for all I know, they could have been Alabama fans and I went to LSU. Like, I have no clue. Maybe they didn't want a public figure living there, but I was literally supposed to get the keys, and that week they denied me. So it was just iconic. Like, it was so cool that it was Babe Ruth's apartment. But yeah, but long story short, don't try to live in a co-op. You might get denied and you won't get Babe Ruth's apartment.
Okay, so I want to help her out. And then I'm going to let you give your assessment.
All right.
But I'm going to give my feminine assessment first. She thinks it's because there were Alabama fans in New York City. I don't think that was it. She thinks it's because she's a public figure. A lot of public figures live in New York City. A lot of people want to live in buildings with public figures. Maybe, and she's like, and I wanted to live there as Babe Ruth's apartment. So that probably has something to do with it. They don't want an influencer living in Babe Ruth's apartment. I think that might be part of it there. But her whining and crying about it, and I was going to buy it in cash and all that. There's just so much to unpack in that little clip. And it's really, to me, a sign of the times. It's a sign of the times, Bobby, and I don't think a good one. But I am actually shocked that they rejected her. I'm wondering why you think they did.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, they might not want an influencer in Babe Ruth's apartment, and not to offend any of our Outkick listeners or readers. I know she's a big, they're big fans of her. I just
For her gymnastics.
Yeah, for gymnastic. I'm just a little bit tired of these influencers because when you listen to Livvy Dunne talk, she sounds like someone who has never had anything go wrong in her life. Like when I was watching her, I'm thinking, okay, welcome to the real world, right? A lot of people have had the same thing happen to them for whatever reason. She comes across as someone who has had everything so easy, and the first thing goes wrong, she runs to social media and complains about it. I mean, I personally don't have a lot of sympathy for her, and it sounds like you don't either. So I think we're on the same page.
No, in the scheme of things that are going wrong in the world and people who are truly suffering, I think that Livvy Dunne using her NIL cash and influencer money to buy a New York City apartment and then getting rejected after she already got an interior designer. I think on the scale of things that people are going through, that might be a little bit low on the list. Very insensitive to put out as well. Stupid, mockable. So I guess good content. Here's another thing that I want to get your take on.
All right.
So there is a chart that's been put out as the decline of the American man. And I want to pull the chart up right now so that we can look at it together. So it's basically talking about how men in this age category, you know, they're having a lot of issues, let's just say, that maybe they're not married, maybe they don't have a job, maybe they don't have their own home, things of that nature. Now, things happen to people for a variety of reasons. I don't want to lump every man into that because you can't do that with anybody. But I'm wondering your assessment on this chart, which seemingly shows the decline of the American man.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not surprised. I was in various different states the past month for random reasons. And one thing I noticed, whenever you're out and about on a Friday or Saturday night, women outnumber men like 3-1, like young men. I don't know where they are, if they're at home smoking weed, playing video games, or depressed or broke, but they're not out and about, which to me usually indicates they don't have their life together and not very happy. Maybe they're in financial constraints. But yeah, I mean, this chart is eye-opening, but we've seen this trend coming. Depression rates, anxiety rates are skyrocketing among men. Male loneliness, I think, is at an all-time high. So it seems like young men are having a really hard time in society. I think some of it might go back to they're confused. They've been told masculinity is toxic, but then the women don't want these beta men. So I don't know if young men have found their place in society, and that chart is indicative of that.
You're right. So now another part of this controversy that I want to bring up with you because you're the perfect person. I actually saw this chart. It was brought to my attention by Clay Travis because he tweeted out, and I'm not saying this word for word, but pretty damn close, the decline of the American man, something that you just alluded to. So he tweeted it out with the chart, and I saw it, and I was like, need to pull it, need to talk about it. So when Clay Travis talk about maybe the decline of the American man, how maybe they're not working, maybe they're living at home with their parents, maybe they're not ready for a relationship, maybe they've been feminized a little bit, they're not manly men, they don't want to be providers and protectors and all those things, and you guys say those things, I see all the men in the comments go like, you're right, like, don't be a you-know-what and all this stuff, and I see it, and you say it, and people will be like, you're right, there's a real problem going on with American men. Bobby, if I say it, you know what they're going to call me?
I do.
They're going to call me a feminist.
Oof.
They're going to call me a feminist. How dare I ever criticize men? You can't. So I'm wondering if it's one of those things where it's like, if you're a woman, you can't criticize men, but men can criticize other men. Maybe that is. And I would actually be okay with that if you just tell me that. Like, women can't be hard on men because then they're going to look like feminists. But I don't know, Bobby. I smell a rat here, and I don't like it.
Yeah, look, I think in general, it's always more insulting when a woman points out your flaws than a guy. That's just the way it goes. So there is some of that, but it is so true. I've actually been on this story for a while. I think it's actually one of the biggest problems we have in this country is the trajectory of young men, whether it's they're confused, jobless, unhappy, or unmotivated. I mean, it's a really big problem. And like, I'm not somebody who is like, you have to get married at 20 years old and have 8 kids. People can do whatever they want. But I think the bigger problem is just the unhappiness that they're not out in public, that a lot of them are at home doing drugs and committing crimes and not having a good time. And I mean, when you're 30, I do think in most cases you should have a stable job unless something happened or you had to take time off to help a family member. But this should be a bigger topic. And President Trump tapped into this somewhat during the election when he went on shows like Theo Von, Joe Rogan, Bussing with the Boys, talking to those young men. The problem is most people in public don't want to speak to them because they want to talk about trans people and black people. They don't want to talk about these young men because they've had their time. But I think it's one of the biggest concerns going forward. And I have certain male friends who are just demoralized right now for a bevy of reasons. I feel bad for them. They need direction. They need leadership because this trend is not going away.
You're right. Well, I'm glad that you said it because I can't say it because that would make me a feminist and a liberal. Right. So I'm glad that you said it. Yeah. Bobby, as always, thank you for weighing in on all the hot topics of the day, of the week. It's always so important to get your perspective, being that you're a non-feminist and all.
Right.
And I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Tomi, appreciate it.
All right, folks, that does it for this episode of Tomi Lahren is Fearless. Catch a special episode tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, The Truth About Socialism and Communism Told by Those Who Escaped It. And a little programming note here. I will be headed back home to South Dakota with my husband next week for his all-star break to see my family. So I will have no shows next week, but rest assured, I will be back Monday, July 21st, live at 1 p.m. Eastern and ready to rumble. But until then, from Nashville, God bless and take care. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want more of my hottest takes, must-see conversations, and of course, my final thoughts, click here and make sure you subscribe here so you never miss a beat. I'll be here every weekday, and I hope you'll join me.